on a real-time scenario, like we have some use cases, how they deployed this SDN for some of the clients. Now, why they went for SDN? What was the challenges they faced? So this will give you an idea when you go to the customer, for example. When you go to customer and he's saying that I have 1, 2, 3 challenges, then you will be able to think of a solution. You can tell, okay, this problem could be solved by having this technology. So you need to see some kind of use cases. We will talk about that, and then we'll talk about the product features, and then we'll talk about integration. We call in SDN there is something called overlay and underlay. Okay, this big switch works as a underlay, and overlay you will have other things like Nutanix, VMware, OpenStack. All of them will be as a working on a overlay. So we'll talk about how you can integrate those technologies, those hyperconvergence, those virtualization concept over big switch. Then we will talk about some design consideration and question answers. So this is what today we'll try to cover in today's session. Before we start, are you clear with agenda? What you are going to learn today? And if you have any doubts, please ask me before we get into that session. I want to make sure that your expectations are set right. So when we start the session, everybody is on the same page, and we can, inshallah, get the outcome at the end of the session. Do you have any questions from the audience, from attending on WebEx? Yeah. Someone wants to ask? Fine.
Yeah, Mohammed, I want to ask this product is more competitive with ACI or is it something different like?
Okay, fine. So Cisco AC is asking about how this is competitive with Cisco and other brands. So Cisco is very specific to Cisco, right? But this one is open networking. So you can use any switch, any hardware, any appliance which support open networking platform. And Big Switch is only supplying the software, which is the brain of the SDN. Okay, so you can use Dell, you can use HP switches. So any platform which support open networking, you can buy that. We call that as a white box concept. Okay, it doesn't have any brain. You use your controller to control. So this Big Switch is becoming more popular, especially in ISPs and big deployment like Facebook, Google, Amazon, Azure. Wherever they have cloud infrastructure, this becomes very popular because it works with all this open standard networking. When we talk about Cisco, it's very specific to Cisco product. You have to buy a specific product series like 9K, 7K. Only this works, right? So that's where it differs. I think when we get into more, when I talk about this, I'll cover this in the slide as well. But to answer you, this is much more open than Cisco.
Nice, thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions? I want to make interactive so that you don't you understand it. You're just not just running towards slides. So if you have any questions, please you can type on the chat box, and then I can pause and answer you. Great. So let us get into the subject. So nowadays, that data centers are transforming towards software-defined data centers. Earlier, we used to have racks of servers, loads of switches, cables going across here and there, and going and connecting with your console, trying to manage. But now the entire concept of data center is changing, and everybody is moving towards software-defined data centers. So that's what the core subject, core topic we'll be talking about today. Inshallah, then you at the end of the session, you know what is SDDC. At least you will know that definition of SDDC, inshallah. Okay. So the main advantage of SDDC is you can run cloud native applications, and also you can support business demands, and also the other thing is the cost optimization. So it is automated, it's more of logical, and you can scale out. Today, if you go to Amazon or Azure, cloud, and you are talking about, you started with the small service, right? You had, let us say, 5 GB RAM, maybe 20 GB hard disk, and you want, this is the CPU power, this is the bandwidth. But the moment you feel that I need to increase my capacity, my business is growing, then you can go and say, please increase my capacity. So it's just a click of a button. You can upgrade without worrying about, I need to buy a new hardware, I need to call the ISP and increase the bandwidth. No hassles. That's what is happening with this SDDC. You will be able to scale out, and you can bring in new services. And what is the underlying part of it? There are 3 main components, which is very important for all SDDC. First one is compute. Compute is about your processing power. It's like a horsepower, am I right? How much you can process. The second one is the network, which can handle the traffic. The third one is the storage, how you can store your data. So these 3 elements are very important, and that's where today the concept of hyper-converged infrastructure, HCI we call it, be it Nutanix, be it VMware, be it Cisco HyperFlex, be it HP, everyone is are Dell, DXRI. So all of them are pushing this technology called hyper-converged infrastructure, where they have compute, network, storage as one device. Previously, I used to go and say that, okay, give me a quotation for storage. You say it is 10 terabytes, this is the bill. So they will bring you some device, you put in the data center. Then I say, how do I connect? Okay, buy a storage switch. Am I right? So you ask the vendor, couple of vendors comes and sell you a storage switch. Okay, then you install the storage switch on the top of the rack, connect the storage. Then you ask, okay, I don't have a processing power, what should I do? You go and buy blade server, HP blade, IBM blade, all right? It's like a chassis. So you buy them. So now you have a rack of servers, racks of storage, storage switches and network switches. Everything is different silos, different domains. And you have different departments to manage. And all these things are used for what? All these things are used for what at the end of the day? You will be running your application. Service is something which will be running on all this, underlay. Right? You may running ERP software, you may run a website, you may run a business application, your Oracle, your program, whatever you call it. All these applications run. So at the end of the day, what is all these technologies, all these concepts is to meet my business requirement. Am I right? So today, everyone looks for what is the time to market. I want to launch service. I know that Etisalat want to launch some services. They would like to do that within maybe 2 months, 3 months time, because that's the time they have. Before that, they have to capture the market. Imagine they have to roll out such a big project for application, new application, let's say Etisalat or Do, or even for example Arnak, and you are going to get a quotation, start processing your hardware vendor, software vendor, network vendor. Imagine the time it's going to take. Maybe project they want to complete in 3 months, you will get the quotation after 2 months. All right? So a product will be delivered after another 8 to 10 weeks. So it's very difficult to manage. The business demand is growing, and if you are not agile, if you are not scalable, if you are not able to fulfill the business requirement on time, then you are out of the business. Somebody else will come and capture them. All these things, they made it club together, and they run out on HCI, platform, and this entire infrastructure is again, how do you program, how do you make sure everything is runs? You use a software defined data set, SDN concept. Okay. On top of it, you run all these applications we are talking about, be it your Active Directory, be it Oracle, XYZ. So that's about SDDC. Let us understand what are the traditional networking, the complexity. What are the problems or challenges the traditional network has? So the traditional network has like box by box operation. Am I right? You have access, you have distribution, you have core. Then you will have switches for data center. Then you have for a backbone. You are running on ISP, MPLS, maybe DWDM, whatever it is. So everything is a box by box operation. Then when you want to program, then you go do telnet or SSH, start configuring IP address, OSPF, BGP, and if you do mistake, then there is a downtime. All these things. So it's kind of brittle and opaque. It's very difficult to control. So networks have become a barrier to data center modernization. When you have one side, they want to launch the application, the services very quick to the market. Another side, your network is still the old phase. So there is a big gap, big challenge. So let us talk about an analogy. And when you talk about software-defined networking, let us understand something which we use in day-to-day life. Let us start with automobile industry. Right? So you know that initially the engine is not exposed to the driver because everything is inside. You only have the dashboard about the speed, the petrol, the fuel, everything he knows from the dashboard. And after that, it came intent-based driving. You have steering control. You can set the limit, set 120 kilometer. You put your, auto lock, then it drives. Then you have a navigation. Am I right? You have put a map, then it guides you. Drive, brake, accelerate, everything comes more sophisticated. But what's happening now? Today, autonomous driving, driverless cars, all right? We'll pause for a few minutes as there is Adhan. Driving, am I right? Driverless cars, and everything is controlled by GPS and navigation, and they're integrated with deep learning, artificial intelligence, machine learning. So that's what is the industry is moving towards. So even today we have most of the network vendors in the software-defined networking, they are integrating machine learning and artificial intelligence. So maybe after 6 months, 1 year, you'll find that how intelligent this network components have become. From the way we used to think and work in network, and the way we are going to see the network, it will be completely different. Okay, that's the direction the entire industry is moving around. Okay, the next generation DC networking, leveraging the Intel. Am I right? What do you want to do? You don't go and talk about I need to configure OSPF, I have to configure the bandwidth. No, you tell this is my intention. Okay, I want to do 1, 2, 3. Can this network do everything by itself? Imagine if that can happen. How quick you can provision services. That's something called intent-based networking. Okay. So you tell I have a design intent. I want to deploy a SAP application. I want to deploy an Oracle application. I want to have a video conferencing across my 10 branch offices connected through MPLS. And this is my intention. And I am saying that in the intention, in the GUI, I am just coming and telling, okay, can you do that? I will just translate that in a GUI and push the policy. And there is an intelligence, which is a controller, which takes this information, pushes the configuration for the switches, firewalls, the VMs, and everything is provisioned automatically. That's the power of intent-based networking. That is the power of software-defined data center. So down the line, if you see, there won't be any work for network engineers. Honestly, that's something which is alarming, but that we need to anticipate and accept and prepare ourselves to face the challenge. We cannot say now, I'm good in OSPF, I'm good in OS, BGP, now I will continue to be that. I can only talk about it. I don't bother about what's happening in cloud, what's happening in software defined. I'm not a software engineer, so why should I care? No, that's, even if you don't care, you will be forced to learn. Okay? Okay. So what's happening is, previously what, and how that you start designing, then how you have to have a rack, top of the rack, VMware, Docker, everything. Then you say add a switch. But now everything is done. Once you have design done, then you say deployment I want to do, and this is implemented in the boxes across. Okay, because this boxes doesn't have any intelligence. You have a controller, and the controller pushes the policy to the boxes. So we call it as a white box. It can get programmed based on the policy which is pushed from the centralized controller. Same team can manage a lot more network infrastructure. So previously you had different teams to manage and everything. Now you just push it and use the time for other work. So legacy teach networking, feature-based, box-driven. What do you mean by feature-based? You have to have features, like I say it's a L2 networking. So you'll buy a switch, only support VLANs, right? Then you say I want L3. So you have to pay cost for license for OSPF, BGP, or if you are having some quality of service, or if you're having security feature, you buy feature sets. Your cost is based on the features. So all the boxes are feature driven. And if it is not compatible, what happens? Every year you go for network refresh. Last year you upgraded, this year Cisco will come, or Juniper will come, or XYZ will come and tell you, sorry, you have a new design, but my box, which you bought 1 year back, it's not supporting. Either you have to upgrade the firmware, which we will charge you, or you have to change this product, because this product cannot run the code. How many times you have faced this? Face a lot, am I right? So this is because you have limited with the features. Am I right? So what happens when it's become intent based? I don't care about the box. The box remains same. It's all about a capacity. The box has 10 gig, 40 gig, 100 gig capacity, and then it has a controller. It has a brain, small brain, and I have a controller. The controller instructs, push the policy, so that the box can be changed based on the way you think about, or based on the intention you want the network to behave. So if that is going to happen, you don't bother about it. So only if anything has to be done, only a firmware upgrade. Am I right? Because the main feature is residing at the controller, at the brain. So that is the change which is happening. And the last one is, which is going to happen, is knowledge driven, which is autonomous, which will have even artificial intelligence, machine learning, and will be cloud native. So even it will take information from other resources and it will input to the decision. Normally now we are telling the decision, am I right? I need the application to be changed. Maybe it collects information and give the input to the brain, saying that to the controller. Now the situation has changed, so you start behaving differently. So it collects information. So it is autonomous. So that's the feature which is happening. So Big Switch is positioned that way, the next generation data center networking company. So mainly this you will not see in normal small and medium enterprises. It mainly positioned, as I said, big enterprises or ISPs. Okay. And they have DC switching as well as DC security and monitoring, where they call it network packet broker, where they can capture the entire traffic and give you the dashboard, what's happening inside the network. Maybe they can record all the calls, all the conversation, reproduce. So all those features are available. And they have different products. I'm not going to talk about it. So you have a big cloud fabric and big monitoring fabric. So cloud fabric is for SDDN, monitoring is for security and monitoring. Okay, you can monitor the entire infrastructure. And the network hyperscale infrastructure, you can have Google, Facebook, Microsoft, all of them can be working together on this platform, because you have a controller software, and also it's mainly works with open networking hardware. That's what the answer, what Allah has asked. How it differs from Cisco or Juniper. They are all vendor specific. But this software, you can buy the software and load it on hardware, and irrespective of any platform. You can buy from Dell, you can buy from HP or any other vendors which supports open networking platform. Okay, this open networking platform is it's something like an open standard, which everybody works together, collaborate. So it's not vendor specific. That's what is mainly taking the industry. That's why HP is adopted, Dell is adopting, and so many other vendors are adopting that concept. And also they have scale-out fabric architecture. Great. So what is all about for a CIO, Chief Information Officer perspective? Can the networking team play a larger role as public cloud usage matures? You have something called on-prem, on-cloud, hybrid cloud, private cloud, all those concepts we are talking about. What is the key challenges when you are talking about cloud? Especially in 2018, they talk about security. Am I right? When I put your data into the cloud, so you are worried about security because your data is on cloud. Second thing is governance and compliance. For example, country like UAE, they don't allow you to put on public cloud. So all the companies, most of the companies, they would prefer to have private cloud. And even if you want to have AWS, you want to have Azure, they say, I'm fine with that, but bring it on-prem. I want to do everything in my premise. Maybe I can have kind of a hybrid cloud for vendors, maybe integrations, but mainly I want to do it hosting here. Or use our infrastructure in Etisalat or do any other, Infosys, they have a big data centers. The government is more worried about that compliance and governance. They don't want any data to be going out of the country. So that's another challenge. Then staff lacks cloud capabilities. How many of you now, if I ask you how many of you are CCNA or Microsoft, everybody will raise the hand. If I ask you how many of AWS or Azure, maybe I'll say 1 out of 10. So if we don't have manpower or enough engineers who can manage the cloud, that's another challenge. Okay, but there's the opportunity for us that we can learn and get into that. The lack of visibility. Once you put in cloud, people worried about you don't have the visibility, what's happening. Okay. Then unplanned outages. So all these are the main challenges they have raised out. Sorry? Without plan, maybe it could happen in the cloud, on-prem or hybrid cloud. There could be some outages. So we'll talk about that, how they avoided with SDDC. There is one slide which they talk about how when you upgrade it, they call it hitless upgrade. When you do any upgrade or even some of the boxes bring down, it doesn't impact the entire operation. So they reduce the outages. When you plan any outages and in the entire cloud, it doesn't impact the services. No, it's on the cloud. You do in the live, but you have built-in capability that it auto heals. No downtime. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Okay, how it helps to do the reliability, high availability. We'll talk about that. So two different next steps, a different vision of the future. Today you have hybrid clouds. Then they're talking about on-prem. So in cloud networking, the tomorrow will be seamless hybrid clouds. So you will integrate your on-prem and also you will have on cloud. You will have hybrid. So based on the business, you will have combination. Especially with IoT, you cannot put everything on cloud. Concept of IoT is making possible that you cannot say everything can be on cloud. You have to have something also on-prem because most of the data has to be stored, locally. That is another challenge they are going to face. That's why they talk about seamless hybrid cloud. Okay, this is some of the customer testimonials to market Big Switch. They talk about Big Switch because it was closest we could achieve. I'm not going to talk about. So let us talk about legacy first and cloud first tomorrow. So legacy, you have everything based on box by box and VM by VM. Am I right? You do by VM by you have maybe thousands of VMs in your data center. You manage it, or you have sampled analytics in small places when they want to have intelligence. Analytics is something which everybody is looking for. Data analytics is something. Data analytics and data science is something which is capturing the market. Am I right? They want to have what's happening. What is the user behavior of XYZ? If tomorrow Mr. X is coming to my network, how he behaved in the entire day when he came into my network. I want to know. That's something analytic. So if he is using some application, I will target him. I will do target marketing. I think all of you know about that. So that analytics helps in knowing the customer behavior. What is interest, what he is doing every day. So based on that, I will position my products and services to him. And then you have trouble tickets, maintenance window, keep control of the network silos. What do you mean by network silos? You have one network team, storage team, and a hypervisor team, server team. So all of them work in tandem as silos. They don't work as a team. And then legacy, TCO, total cost of ownership. But when it comes to cloud, you have House, Azure, and virtual private cloud is the concept which is happening everywhere. Complete VPC flow, analytics, so you have analytics. And now if you go to AWS, I don't know how many of you have gone to AWS. You talked about IaaS, about infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. But if you go now, you can buy something called VPC as a service, virtual private cloud as a service. Okay, so the culture is changing. You can buy a cloud as a service for your company. That's how it's changing. The market is changing. So cross infrastructure collaboration and everything is based on cloud. So pay as you grow. Total cost of, so you don't bother about investing a huge amount on your infrastructure, buying a license, putting manpower, having a data centers, have to build HVAC system, AC. Imagine the expenses you are doing. So if you move to the cloud, then all these things are going to come down. You only worry about services. You talk about your core business. You are not worried about the network is going down, as AC is not working, UPS is tripping. You get all this headache out of your mind. Right? So that's a benefit of cloud-based tomorrow. And their position, who is the leaders in SDDC? We have something called Arista Networks. As per Gartner, they are leaders. The second one is Cisco. Then VMware is also almost second, but when it comes to ability to execute, they are lesser than Cisco. But they are Arista and VMware, which is NSX, are the leader in terms of completeness of vision, because they have complete vision. But when it comes to execute, Cisco has more manpower, a lot of certified guys. So they say, ability to execute, Cisco has more visibility. Then Big Switch also, coming to the third position in that quarter. So this is the market trend. So what are the different vendors available. This H3, I think H3 or HP is HP. Okay. Also, you have heard about something called Pivotal. Pavilion Pivotal is also something acquired by HP. That's also SDDC. You can have, that's based on HCI, and then you can run on top of it the SDDC. Okay. So there are, you name any vendors, these are the vendors whom you might be talking about getting a quotation for switches, routers, maybe for your servers. But imagine all of them now where they are in SDDC. But if we don't upgrade ourselves on this, and we still talk about network switches, tomorrow they will say bye bye. No, you still talk about this. Sorry, we are not selling switches. Yes, we would love to do, but we cannot do it. So I think we will stop now and have half an hour break. Okay, and we'll come back and continue after half an hour. Maybe you can have your questions typed in the chat box. So we'll continue after half an hour, inshallah. Okay, thank you. So I'll talk about multi-cloud director. Okay, I am going to show you a big picture. Okay, what is a big picture? Now we talk about data centers. All right. So you have a data center 1, you have a data center 2. All right. DC1, DC2, and then you have a big monitoring fabric. You have a big monitoring fabric which can monitor the entire data centers at one place. Okay, and I have something called controller director. Okay, which manages the fabric, which is SDDC, and monitoring fabric, which is something like monitoring all the traffic. So both of them can be managed through the control director, a central point where you can see the SDDC as well as see the visibility of traffic and manage from a single pane of glass. One dashboard. Right? Everybody talks about dashboard now. Okay? If you go to your CEO, what is it? I want to see in the dashboard. I want to see what's happening. I don't care about what's going inside. I want to see the dashboard. Yes, sir. You want to see the dashboard? This is the dashboard. You know everything now. Visibility, security, how many VMs are running, everything you can see from the dashboard. That's the controller. Okay. So it gives visibility. You can do configuration. You can do upgrade, downgrade. Yeah. See, imagine this upgrade. I did one upgrade. It says it's a hitless upgrade. Entire cloud you can do within 15 minutes without any downtime. You want to introduce a new code, right? I want to upgrade the entire fabric, but when I do an upgrade, it's not going to do everything. It will start with one. If it's okay, it starts another one. Then it's like slowly changing your one system to another system, migration, without any downtime. It automatically move your workload. You don't bother about it. So that's the ability when you go with this control director. So multi-cloud director, what happens? You have big cloud fabric, big monitoring. I told about cloud fabric and cloud monitoring. So for the time being, I'll talk about fabric and monitoring. Fabric is nothing but your entire infrastructure. Are you able to follow? All your white box, everything. Monitoring is something where you can monitor the traffic, visibility. Is it clear? So two things, don't confuse them. Both of them are in cloud. That's why it's all about cloud fabric, cloud monitoring, fabric cloud. Okay. So we'll only understand fabric and monitoring. Great. So the multi-cloud director can be integrated with your AWS, your Google, your Azure, everything. Okay. And the down, you have VMware, OpenStack, Nutanix, you can Kubernetes and your Docker, all these things can be integrated. So this is the complete infrastructure and everything can be seen from the single pane of glass. All these things with the multi-cloud director. So we'll talk about more about what is cloud fabric. What are the components inside cloud fabric? If you understand this slide, you can go and talk about fabric cloud to anyone. If you understand this slide, theoretically. Okay, so please try to focus with me. At any point of time, we talk about services to the customer. Am I right? The services can be done using, today it's called about containers. How many of you know about containers? Containers is something where you already program and you can deliver that for the applications. Okay, that's a separate subject. And then same way for OpenStack, am I right? VMware, they are running. So all of them can be integrated with your cloud fabric using your API. Okay, I talked about API, am I right? It's from north to south. All of them having orchestration tools. Okay, you can integrate. So you have OpenStack, VMware, container orchestration. These are all orchestrations. This is what a cloud infrastructure admin will have as a dashboard. Or if you are buying a service from AWS, you will see a dashboard, am I right? So that is something called orchestrator. They will give you a portion of it where you can run your services. That is your first interface to the cloud. And what is beneath, you don't care. All right? You don't care what they are running, whether they are running in OpenStack, they are running on VMware, they are running on KVM, you don't care about it. Are they running Nutanix, are they running VxRail, are they running Cisco, you don't care about it. Why should I bother about it? So what is happening behind is what I'm going to talk about now. So you have something called SDN controller, which is your cloud fabric, which does the entire automation for provisioning for hardware and management. Am I right? Then this controller is going to send or program your white boxes where you connect your workloads, be it your ESX server. Normally we don't call it as ESI server. In our terminology, to our white boxes, most of the time we can connect HCI infrastructure. So this is our white boxes. This is our hardware. Am I right? Someone asked, I think Siraj asked me, how do I connect my, my blades, my servers? Okay, I'm telling you, connect your top of the rack switch. So the top of the rack switch is my white box here. Is it clear? Okay. So this is Switch Lite OS. This could be from any vendor as long as they support ONV, Open Networking concept. Am I right? So it's run Switch Lite OS based on Open Networkless ONL based OS. Is it clear? Second part. Now, where is my workload resides? My workload resides in a where? Normally it resides on a not switch. Where it will? Server. Am I right? This server, normally it's a blade server. That's what you talked 1 year back, blade server. But today if you go and talk to anyone as blade server, they say, what do you mean by blade server? Because there is no more concept of blade server. There is no more concept of storage switch. I talked about something called hyper converged infrastructure. So today on a cloud, they only talk about what is your HCI infrastructure. Is it clear? All of you are able to follow, please. If you don't understand, ask me. They don't talk about blade. Yeah, I'll talk about it. So hyper-converged infrastructure is something where initially I talked about you have computing power, you had memories, am I right? CPUs, RAM, everything added. This is for your processing, compute. Then someone asked, okay, I need a network to have 10 gig, 20 gig, 100 gig switch. So you bought switches. Then you say, okay, now I want to store all my data. So you went and bought storages, NetApp, EMC, IBM, HP. You bought, racks and racks of storage in your data center. Am I right? You had the storage. For what? To store the data. And then you want to connect all of them together. Storage has to interface with the network. Network has to interface with your blade servers. So how do? You buy a storage switch. The storage switch has something called HCI interface. Right? So we call it, it's iSCSI interfaces or fiber channel interfaces, which connects to the storage device. And then you have uplink to your network using 10 gig to the network. So I need to know SAN switch. I need to know network. Where is my server? It's on the blade. You have to connect that again to the switch. So you see the complexity. You have a blade. Guys, are you able to listen to me? Somebody is saying he's not able to. I'll continue. So initially, you have to have these 3 different silos: network department, server department, storage department. Application department will be always there because that's the one who's demanding all these things. Who's putting the budget for IT companies?
Sir, Brent sir, there is no voice. We are not hearing. Please.
Right. So you had 3 different silos, am I right? Like island. But when you talk about HCI, hyper converged infrastructure, I bring a server, okay, and I don't bring one server. I connect 3 servers as a node, as a cluster, and I have a hard disk. All these hard disks are my SAN. Okay, I don't buy a separate storage, and I have a compute power inside. So this becomes, as all these nodes become as one cluster, so I can share my compute power, I can share my storage power. What about networking? All of them come with a 10 gig into 4 output interface. So almost 40 gig. What I need to do, I don't connect to my, so I don't have to connect to my storage. I connect to the top of the rack switch. That's it. So where is storage? All of them now iSCSI. IP based. There is no FCI. No, I don't do fiber channel. So I eliminated now the entire storage from it. Am I right? Everything in the same place. And I have resiliency, everything. I took one session. I'm a certified in Nutanix. I'm a Nutanix certified guy. I'm certified in Cisco HyperFlex. I took one seminar. I will send you the videos where I talk about entire HC hyperconverged infrastructure for Cisco HyperFlex. We will also have webinar soon for Nutanix, where we will deep dive what is Nutanix, what is HyperFlex, and also we'll talk about VxRail. These are the three main competitors. But who is taking the market share? Nutanix is number one. Second one is VxRail. Those are the two main competitors. We can run some webinars. It's a free webinar to share the knowledge inshallah as a separate session. So that is a HCI. Okay, just because I explained, because you asked the question. So now instead of top of the rack switch, you connect to my white box here. You got it? So you bring your hyperconverged infrastructure from Nutanix. That's why you will see here Nutanix, Dell EMC, am I right? VxRail. All of them can come and connect, bring your hardware, connect them into my switch. That's it. What do you run on HCI? Now the question. What do you run on the HCI? You run VMs. It could be Microsoft Hyper-V, or it could be ESXi. On top of it, you run your workloads. Workloads are your VM. On the VM, what you run? Applications. These applications are available through the orchestrator for the outside world. So imagine now you have an application residing in one of the workloads here, virtual workloads. Am I right? So how it is accessed from the outside world? You will come and access this interface, the orchestrator. The orchestrator in turn fetch all those data from this workload and give it to here. But what is happening inside, you don't know. It's clear? You may sometimes see it's very simple. You are seeing a dashboard, you are getting this up. In fact, tomorrow in our lab, I will show you how a service can be up in 10 to 15 minutes in the AWS cloud. I'm going to show you live. You'll be amazed to see. I will only go and click on the front interface, and everything is provisioned for me in the background. And you will see the entire infrastructure and up running. You will see my controller, you will see my switch, everything running on AWS. Tomorrow I will do the lab. Okay? So you will get more understanding. So are you able to follow now? What is HCI? What is your workload? What is the orchestration? Is it clear? Right. Guys, any clarification on people who are attending online? Because this is something which is very important. As I told you, if you understand this concept, then rest of the things will be easy. Do you have any questions? Great. So let me move on to the next slide. So what's the cloud native networking with Big Cloud Fabric? There are many vendors. Again, the same thing. VMware, you can have NSX. NSX is the product from VMware, which does software-defined data center. And then you can go with OpenStack, NFV, which is based on Red Hat, Mirantis, and all those things. It's OpenStack. OpenStack is more popular because it's free. It's based on open standard. So people who want to embrace, don't want to spend, they want to go, run. They're not bother about having data open standards. Basically, then they will go with that. People are very specific, like corporates. Sometimes they don't have that, confident put things on open cloud. They will go with VMware and other things. And third one is containers, where we talked about Kubernetes, Docker, and OpenHat, OpenShift. These are on the containers part. Then I talked about HCI. Am I right? Who are the vendors? vSAN, Nutanix, Chef, and also you have HyperFlex, VxRail, and Cisco have HyperFlex, and so many other vendors. And this entire thing is called data center fabric. And what you are going to run on that? You run big data like Hadoop, okay, like Zen for VDA solutions. So you are developing this data center fabric because you need to run application which are processor hungry, which needs more storage, which need input to be fast. So you are running such kind of application like Hadoop and BDA infrastructures. So you need to develop such kind of data center fabric so you can deliver that. So why all these things happens? Because if it is simple SQL application, if it is a single website, if it's a single ERP application, I don't have to bother about all these things. But now people are asking about analytics. They want to see the data. People want to integrate with machine learning. They want to integrate AI so that everything is automated. So who can do it? You need to have that fabric. That's why the industry is moving towards this data center fabric. Okay, so that is the market demand which drives this business. So see, I'm not going to talk much about it, but for the sake of knowledge, I will tell all these things. What you have seen, we are going to cover in detail as a slide. But since you will not come from all this background, it may not be very much interesting. But I'll give some tips. I will summarize it. Okay. So first thing is about VMware. Big cloud as a fabric. I will go back to the same slide which I talked about. So big cloud, where is that fabric? It's only here. Am I right? Only this. Am I right? And what is this again? It's a white boxes. So these two together form SDN. SDN controller and the white box together form SDDC. So this. Now we are going to talk about how you can integrate VMware, how you can do with Nutanix. So these are the slides I'm going to talk about. So if you understand this picture, next slides will be easy for you to understand. So VMware, what they have done, they brought the entire VM integrated with the cloud fabric. So you can even see how many workload VMs are running. You can see from the dashboard how many VMs are consuming your memory, your CPU, your bandwidth, which are critical, which are on high available. So some VMs you can say that when you start, have the DR facilities. You can all these things you can have it. That could be managed from the single dashboard because you are integrating the VM with the fabric. So you can have vSphere, NSX, vSAN, Horizon, VIO, VSC. All these things are from vCenter. And we realize Logsight vCenter is something which is the orchestration tool from VMware itself. So you can also use that to do orchestration. So if we have already invested heavily on VMware, everything is VMware VDC. So you buy big cloud fabric, then integrate with that. That's it. So I'm not going to talk this. It's more of technical. So you have a BCF controller and you have the API to integrate with vCenter. So I told you anything north south means any third party integration. You have something called API. Always remember. And believe me, this API comes built. You don't have to develop. Because if the vendor doesn't give this API, then they will reject. Because there's who will take time to develop this API. So all of them today in the market, because I worked with many of the vendors, they come with API. You say, I want to integrate my Palo Alto firewall into your Big Switch or in your NSX, your ACI. Don't have to worry. There is the API, download, install, and that will talk to your Palo Alto. That becomes part of your SDDN fabric. That's it. Palo Alto interface, the firewall interface will be visible in your dashboard. You don't have to go to Palo Alto manage it to configure something. Do next generation firewall feature. No. So everything is integrated. That's the power. That's API power. So when you talk about API, sometimes as we are coming from network system storage background, we think what is API? It's a program, stuff. No issues. No issues. Everything comes as a plugin, download and install on a VM. Okay. That's all about APIs. See, once you integrate, can you see here, network automation vSphere visibility for the network admin. So from this dashboard, you know entire vSphere. Okay. See here, it shows about what is the port group. In VM, you have port group to connect it in ESXi, connect the workload, and says what is the network, which one network. Host automatically configures with leaf switches. So whenever you bring any host in VM, vCenter, it automatically binds to the leaf switch, which is our switch. It matches the VLANs, it matches the port group, everything comes automatic, zero touch provision. We will do tomorrow lab. To bring the entire fabric, it requires only 3 commands or 3 parameters. Commands, if you are running a command prompt, if you are using a GUI, you need to just enter 3 elements in the GUI. Enter the MAC address, enter the position role, and enter the IP address. That's it. It brings the entire fabric. It runs so many things inside, like ISIS. It runs BGP. It runs LDTP protocols, but you don't see anything. That's the amazing feature of SGDC. You don't bother about what's running. You don't know about the BGP, how to configure wait, I have to configure ISIS areas. No, nothing. It does everything by itself. Only 3 elements we'll see in the lab. Okay. So once it's done, you can see here, see the entire vCenter is visible in your dashboard. You see this host. See here, this IP address is the one ESXi. It's available in Big Switch. With the API, you are able to see your vCenter ESXi host in a Big Switch fabric. Are you able to follow me? Are you able to understand the ease of integration? And then you can go into endpoints. You can even go into even workloads. It's a SAP server. If it is an Oracle server, it is a workload for your ERP. It's a workload for Active Directory. You can go and see each and everything sitting in the dashboard. And also monitor what is the issues it's happening. Before I have to run commands, am I right? Here I can run one troubleshooting command. It runs the entire script and say where is the problem. Is it stopping in the switch? It is stopping in the HCI. It is stopping in the Hyper-V. Where is the problem? It shows in the dashboard. Believe me, it was amazing. Otherwise, network guys complain to application. Applications guys say firewall did not open a port. This will go for maybe weeks, sometimes a month. But now everything is seen in a single dashboard. Okay. So this is the complete optimal SDN architecture. You have big switch, L2, L3 boundary, NSX, and running on that. For workloads, you can even run NSX, edge switches, firewalls inside NSX. And NSX control, vCenter, BCF control, all of them connected together using APIs. Okay. Fabric analytics for NSXV. So I can go to this fabric interface. You see here, tenants, segments, endpoints, VMware, vCenters, orchestration, protocols. It's all available in the GUI. So I want to see what's happening with NSX from the fabric. Go and click on NSX. It will say how many logical switches you have. In NSX or in software-defined data center, the concept is called VXLAN. There is no VLAN. What is VXLAN? If you have data center 1 and you have data center 2 in different place, if you want to extend your VLANs, layer 2, I use VXLAN. You run over MPLS, you run over dark fiber, you run over lease line, I don't care. I run using VXLAN. I can use VMware NSX. It can run over any of the L3. So L2 over L3 infrastructure. So I can extend my layer 2 infrastructure from one location to another location. And VXLAN can span for millions. The number is 2 power something, I think I forgot. That many numbers you can have. So each and every endpoint you can have. That is the power of VXLAN. That is already integrated with NSX. And already you can see that with Big Switch fabric also. Fine. You can go and see even the VM name. See here, Windows. It's a web application running on Windows. This is the VM name. You can see from here. Logical switch, how many VMs, how many you have, all of them can be monitored. And then you can also have HCI. Okay. So with HCI, you have something called vSAN. You don't have separately. I talked about it. So auto configuration of vSAN, one-click multicast. So if you want to, for example, somebody says, see, I need more storage. I am running now 2 terabytes. Somebody comes and I need for my tenant. Tenant is some customer, right? I'm running a cloud. Tenant is nothing but customer Y, customer A, B, C, D. All of them are my tenants. I have 10 customers using my cloud. So customers, I call them as tenants. When the tenant comes, I share secure space in my cloud for the tenant. Nobody will be able to see their data or what they are doing from my cloud. Okay, this is tenant. Now, when it comes to my vSAN storage, I come and say, today I bought 2 terabyte. Today company is now scaling. I have more customers. Application is growing. I want now 10 terabytes. So you go and click on a button that provisions this vSAN. For this tenant, it automatically provisions. One provision, you click and you can pay. As a customer, you can go and click and it takes you to the e-commerce site, pay, and this provision maybe in 5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, 1 minute. God knows, based on their infrastructure. That's integration with vSAN. So vSAN cluster, you can say vSender compute cluster. So you see, clusters are compute infrastructure. You can have different vSAN, one for computing, one for infrastructure, one for database, one for application. All these things can be seen in a vSAN dashboard. Okay, so this is more deep and you can go in deep. I'm not going to talk about just for sake of time. vSphere integration I talked about. So okay, anyway, what I will do, I'll pause the recording. Fine. I didn't check the website, so if you check, I will record. So they have done it already in Dubai municipality. I talked about it. They have given that. So what they did, they have given us. They have application servers. All of them, they consolidated multiple silos into one with the big switch. Okay, see here. And if you have any traditional application which cannot be migrated to VMs, legacy application, exactly, then still you can run on them and you can interface. Okay, there is something called interfacing with the legacy application. You can run still OSPF, BGP with them, connect to your fabric, still available. So you don't have migration can happen slowly. You build an infrastructure, then start moving the loads one by one. That's also possible. So we will not have downtime. We were asking this question, right? There is a complete integration, seamless. You plan, for example, you have already application running redundant. You move the one which is already redundant to the cloud, fabric. Everything is okay, make it active. Keep the one in the conventional switch as a backup. Then move them. So user will not feel. Maybe there will be a small downtime, that interruption, but that's very negligible. There is a migration documents, steps you can follow. Right? And the TRGN broadcast, they have done for some communication telco. They used vSAN, Big Switch, Dell EMC. Dell EMC, see, believe me, Dell is coming now selling switches. How many of you know? How many of you know Dell is selling switches? Switches. They have 10 gig switches, they have 40 gig, they have 100 gig. Why? Because they are not, they know that future is about open networking. So now anywhere they go with VxRail, they don't want Cisco to come and sell their switch. They said, okay, you want VxRail? You run VxRail, which is HCI, on our Dell servers, and you want to run SGTC, run either VMware, NSX, for your VMware workload. On top of the rack, what do you need? Buy our Dell switches. We have done ourselves, and we have done as a company 2 implementation with Dell as a top of rack switch, VxRail as a HCI, and NSX as a SDTM. Everything is Dell and VMware. That's it. And who is the support? You don't have to open cases from different vendors. Dell is a single point of contact. Even if you have a problem in the VMware, you open a case with Dell. You don't have to approach different vendors. You don't open licensing, you don't buy from VMware, you buy from Dell. They have agreement. So Dell is selling a switch. So if you say, no, I don't want for my data center VM load, but I have my already Nutanix running, it's running on Hyper-V, I'm running open VM on KVM in Linux. So what is the solution? Because NSX doesn't support other products. They say, okay, buy Big Switch as a SDN. Don't use NSX only for your VM product. For other product, buy Big Switch, Fib Fabric, and use our Dell switch, already top of the rack. We are compatible with open networking. Just enable that light OS in my switch. You manage it as a fabric. Simple. You understand? They don't have to buy multiple vendors. That's the concept which is happening now. So that's what they have done it, vSAN and BCF, Dell, Big Switch and vSAN. Dubai Municipality, they integrated with fixed switch with VMware for vSphere integration. We already talked about it, right? Great. Okay, so far so good. You see we talked about theories, but now I talked about some implementation, especially with VMware. All of you are clear? Okay, somebody is asking question. Let me pass 1 second. Let me go back. Now we are talking about OpenStack, NVF. So I told you this is what the entire market is moving around. They want to go OpenStack. So what is OpenStack? It's based on Red Hat OpenStack platform. So you have Big Switch as a cloud fabric, and then Dell EMC at Open Network Switch. So just what we replace? NSX. VMware is replaced with Red Hat OpenStack. Am I right? And then OpenNV Cloud Advantage. They have lower cost because of its open platform services, lower cost to new service enablement. All these things are happening. So I don't want to talk much about this because same thing but different platform. Am I right? So when you want to have orchestration, I have this platform. I have API again integrating with OpenStack. So DINA enhanced OpenStack leverage VFC REST APIs. That is the orchestration tool, like what we have in VMware, vRealize automation for orchestration. Same way here, OpenStack DNA integration model for orchestration. So REST down, it's all same. Fine. Then container. This is about application. Large performance, one use case they had is BCF container networking deployment for high performance electric vehicle company. Okay. They had Big Switch and Dell EMC as a switch and cloud fabric. On top of it, they ran Kubernetes and Mesosphere applications. Okay. By deploying this, they have drastic simplification of large scale container networking deployments. Okay. Operation with BCM CNI integration. Significant reduction of OpEx and CapEx. So again, it's about containers and Kubernetes. You can also integrate that. So let us talk about one case study with HCI integration. We talked about hypervisor integration, am I right? Now I'm going to talk about HCI integration, Nutanix. So Big Switch, Dell, and Nutanix. So Nutanix could be replaced with DXRail from Dell or HyperFlex from Cisco, or I think it's HP Powerline, HPE from HP. So any vendor could be replaced for HCI infrastructure. So this is the one use case where they have integrated for smart city project, self-guided digital modernized residential and business district. They have done it. Okay. Incheon UCity, maybe some Europe. You can go and see. Why customers buy? So you saw all the use cases. Now let us talk about why customers buy. We have another. So now I'm going to talk about why the customer has to buy this concept. It's simplicity because application agility is there, zero touch provisioning, rapid upgrade. I told you, hitless fabric upgrade of the entire fabric of 64 racks. How many racks? And 134 devices in 15 minutes. One 34 devices, physical fabric I'm talking about. The entire upgrade happened in 15 minutes, and they call it hitless, means there is no downtime for the application. That's
Can you tell me one more time, please?
okay. The upgrades, when you have such kind of controller, when you want to do software upgrade maintenance, you will do upgrade, am I right? Software maintenance. So this happens in a cloud where they have 64 racks, 130 devices connected. I think each rack has 8 nodes, or I think 4 nodes maybe, or 2 nodes I think. So all these racks are upgraded. They are all clustered together as one node, one fabric. The entire upgrade happened within 50 minutes, no downtime for the application. That's the power of, and also you can have some kind of image, gold image, maintenance image. So it all does entire software life cycle. It follows ITSM process for any service upgrade. You can integrate with your ITSM tools if you have it. No downtime because it's on the cloud. It's all clustered. When you provision, you make sure the workload is offloaded and sent to another fabric. All right. So most of the time, none of the applications run on cloud without redundancy, for your information. That's all VM. So why should I run on one switch? So everything is redundant. So when you are doing it, bring that you do on the something which is on the backup, do the upgrade, move the workload, then do it. And you know the moving that now it's also hitless with VMs. Even there is something called auto failover. There is the monitoring happening. If the VM is having any issues, it automatically pushes to the other VM. There is a VMware, by the way, there is a VMware workshop and recording also is there. You can watch if you are basic. You want to know about vCenter, how the workload. There is also video in IT expert training, free of cost. You can go and watch how the entire vCenter is managing for HDDC. So that gives an idea, because when you talk about higher end, you need to also know the basics. So all these things are available as free. You go and connect. So, fine. And then resiliency I told about. They have got high available. How much time? It's 50 seconds baseline. They simulated 42K simulated endpoints VMs on the background load and 640 plus post component failures. In the entire system, they made failures. 640 components, they made it post failures, and they watch what is the downtime it's happening. They simulated the entire thing in the rack. It's almost 55 seconds. Okay, so this is about the big deployment, Indian-based policies. Okay, and there's also pod level deployments. I talked about it. Right? This is the big cloud fabric. But if you have legacy system, okay, box by box, how do? You run OSPF BGP. This is all your legacy. All right. This is your SDDC. So you have SDDC data center 1, data center 2. You are connecting through your routers and switches. But when they connect, I will use VXLAN. Okay, between data center to data center. You understand my point? From SDD to CDC, how I will communicate? VXLAN. I run externally OSPF BGP, doesn't matter. But we want to integrate with your legacy network, like what you have right now. I need to run OSPF BGP to XE. Is it clear? Then you have also monitoring. So this is the entire network. So you saw previously about SCDC as a single element. Am I right? But now I am showing you SDDC with your legacy system, with your core router, with your ISP router, with your MPLS cloud, and your office sitting maybe 100 miles away. How all of them are integrated. This is the big picture. Can you see the big picture? Okay. So you can still coexist legacy network with SCTC, no problem. And you can have your plan for migration as and when required. Sometimes you don't have budget to migrate all your data centers. Start with something which is very important, critical, where they want to launch application on cloud. Then you slowly migrate rest of your data centers. Clear? Containers is a separate topic. I don't want to talk. So it's all about automations. Inshallah, we will talk in the next in the future session. The good thing, one point I want all of you to remember is this piece of element. Anything you want to integrate on open source on the northbound, just go and download APIs, run it. You don't bother about it. Integration becomes very easy. You don't break your head. Clear? Use cases, multi-orchestration with virtual parts. It's a bigger environment. So where you use like Etisalat, like Do, where they want to have managed cloud services. They will be providing cloud services for different company, like cloud on-prem, private cloud. For example, a company X want to host their cloud on Etisalat. Etisalat will create a cloud on their big data center and provision that for the particular company and charge them. So still they are connected to Etisalat through MPLS. They feel that it is secure. They are not on the cloud which is outside the country. All this is so managed cloud services. That's the money people are making now. Like ISPs, they are making now. Service providers are making now. So this is the use case for that. Once you build entire infrastructure, see, this is infrastructure, you have a controller, then on top of it, Open NSX, VMware, Red Hat, run anything. I have API integrated. That's it. And the cloud, on the downside, I have HCI, I have hypervisors, and then on top of it, I am running applications. This is the managed cloud service. Multi-orchestration with virtual parts. It's not one orchestration. Once you have this in the cloud, based on your orchestration tool, be it Kubernetes, be it VMware, be it Red Hat, their orchestration tool differs. Am I right? Orchestration is just to manage. Irrespective of that, my fabric doesn't change. I use the same fabric. What changes? Can you tell me? What will change? What will change for the orchestration? APIs, exactly. Nothing will change except the APIs. When it's VMware, I use VMware API. When it's Red Hat, I use Red Hat, APIs. That's it. My infrastructure control will not change. That's the power of having this. So you understand the multi-orchestration? We talked initially orchestration for each vendor. I put everything as one big picture. It's clear? Right. I think I'm not going to talk about this Nutanix and everything. The idea is you can manage everything from Big Switch. Am I right? Okay, let's now talk about deployment. I will do one thing. I will have 5 minutes break. I will stop the video. We'll have a question and answer session. Then I'm going to talk about deployment part. All this what you have talked about is what is Big Switch, what is design, how you can do everything concept. Now we are going to talk about how you deploy, how you roll out this entire thing. Okay. I will stop the video so that video can be 2-part. Otherwise you'll learn 2 hours, difficult to watch. Thank you very much for all of you to attend this first session of my webinar. We'll get into the next session in 5 minutes. Thank you.